going through right now. So it's cold outside. Stay inside if you don't, do you have to go anywhere? Stay inside. It's cold. But let's get ourselves started here. There's plenty to talk about. And one of the biggest things, the Bears have a new GM, Ryan Poles. This is fascinating, and this is going to be great. But first, I'm going to go to my fellow Bears diehard fan because I'm dying to hear what she has to say about this. Delilah, what do we think? What do we know? Ryan Poles, here we go.
If it's true that they've been listening to Dungy, God bless that man. And and the fact that he's finally listened to me. I don't know who he shook over there. I don't know I don't know how he convinced anybody in that front office to actually listen to him because he actually knows football. And kudos if that's true, because that's they were saying, right, that they brought in experts and he was one of them.
Yeah.
And so if he had anything to do with that, kudos to you, sir. Because one, the fact that he's coming from Kansas City, which, hello, right? Yeah. Kansas City for the fourth time has, moved out to the AFC conference, right? You can't overlook that. This man was, started scouting first for them, and guess who he brought? Right, Patrick Mahomes. So
just the quarterback of their team. Right?
So obviously, who people are labeling baby goat, right? So all I'm saying is the man obviously knows how to build a team. He understands personnel, right? He understands how to put an a team together, but also the coaching pieces, right? The people that actually make it work. Because it's not just a team, right? We always think about the players first, but you can't have a team work without a proper coaching staff, right? Without the trainers, every piece matters, right? All those pieces matter in making something cohesive. So I'm excited about Ryan Poles. I'm excited to see if he can actually fix something that's been broken for 36 years.
And that's going to be the big question, right? Everybody's excited.
Good luck, sir.
Time to get to work, right?
Good luck. Good luck, sir.
I like the fact that according to the sources and of the reports, they are letting him pick his coach. And they're not going to influence that. That supposedly was part of his condition of being hired, is for him to make a decision on a head coach. I do like that. So, Nate, what do you think about this? New GM Ryan Poles for the Bears. What are your thoughts?
I think it's an interesting move. I'll be curious to see what it looks like. I think he's coming into a kind of a fluid situation. I think with the Bears, there's going to be a couple of things they're going to address. Akeem Hicks, all of them. He's got Justin Fields. He's got some pieces offensively. He's got his work cut out for him, but I think it's the start of something good at Chicago. You just got to give it. I give it about 3, 4 years.
I do agree with you there because we do have 34 free agents on the table, so it will be interesting who's brought back and who's just let go and how that goes. So, Mr. Handy, on that note, coming into a situation like this where you're taking over a team that has who we think is our quarterback of the future, right? What do you see here? What do you think about this Ryan Poles hiring today?
I think it was a good hire. I mean, Delilah, first of all, she touched on it. He spent, just looking at his resume, this guy spent his entire NFL front office career with the Kansas City Chiefs. And looking at how the Chiefs were performing around the time he came on board, they were consistently finishing in the bottom of the division. I mean, they did have the one good season in 2010 where they finished 10-6. But he's been there for 13 years, so he has seen what it takes from a front office level to rebuild a franchise from the ground floor all the way to the penthouse suite. I mean, now they've contended for a Super Bowl every year for the last 4 seasons. He was a guy, like Delilah said, he was like, hey, there's this curly head kid down in Texas Tech that likes ketchup on his steak we might need to bring in. So I think it's a great hire. I honestly do. I think it's a great hire. I'm interested to see what he can do in Chicago because Lord knows. I mean,
yes.
you two are both Chicago Bears fans, so you've endured
we are.
a lot of heartache and sorrow to include the now infamous Spanish audio programming version of the Double Dunk. No, senor.
I'm
No,
telling you,
senor.
man.
That is funny, though, isn't it? Right.
So we had a good last night, man. We're sorry you weren't there to see it. But
Yeah.
so I'm interested to see what he's gonna do.
Right.
I mean, I agree with Nate. Give it about 3 or 4 years. Who knows? He might come in and be able to make some subtle changes to at least get you up out of the cellar next
Right.
season.
See, that's my thing. Like, I know people, because we have a new hire now, everybody's like, all right, he's got to get in there. He's got to do all this right away. You do have to give the guy time to figure out, get his footing, figure out what he's going to do with this team. Again, you have 34 free agents.
Exactly.
And some of them are at key positions. I was looking at the list the other day, and some of these guys were guys who started for Mir. I mean, I'm just Demir Bird, Allen Robinson, Hakeem. I always get them confused. Hakeem Hicks. But it's Hakeem Hicks. It's a free, So you got all, there's a ton of free agents. So we got to figure out what he's going to do there, who he's going to bring back, who's he's going to let go. Draft. How's that going to be? We don't have a first round pick, so our first draft isn't into the probably middle of the second round. So there's a lot that Mr. Poles is coming into, as you say. He's got a lot of work to do.
Absolutely.
But again, I like the fact that George McCaskey himself even went to the airport to pick him up in a Bears jacket. How funny is that, right? Like, he goes to the airport himself to pick Ryan Poles up.
You got to do what you got to do.
They didn't think that he was – I think they definitely had him in mind as the candidate all along, obviously, but which is good. They had their focus, and they interviewed – they did some diligence. Obviously, they talked to other people. There was a bunch of other candidates they talked to.
That were well qualified, too, by the way.
Yeah, they were just as qualified as Mr. – probably a little bit more than Mr. Poles, possibly, never being a GM. But, again, they made a decision. Now, you keep your word. You let this guy come in, start doing his job. Look for the head coach. He's got a few interviews tomorrow with Caldwell and Dan Quinn. So, again, we'll go from there. Now we need a head coach. See what we bring in again, and that'll determine obviously what the roster will look like next year and what they can do for Justin Fields as your quarterback going forward. So I'm excited again, definitely, but time will tell, right? As always.
Absolutely.
So with that, we do appreciate the Ryan Poles talk. We do appreciate obviously our fellow people who always join us.
Hey, everybody watching.
Right. Hello, everyone. I get Facebook users, so I don't know who's particularly watching, but you know who you are. So thank you for being out there.
That's Kate and Sid.
What's that?
That's Kate and Sid. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to step on you.
Okay. Sydney, of course, thank you. Kate, great to see you. And let's go on to our next thing then, because, again, for my money, we had one of the greatest weekends of divisional round football that we've had in a long time.